Hey guys, I'm going to do this as kind of a way of code review. So what I've done is I've completed my new flow that is the restart device flow, and this guy is supposed to be run from the event active watch. So the idea is a service restart will be attempted, and I will set it up so in the event active portion it'll generate a new event that will traverse down this guy, and the idea is it will restart the device by element name. So I'm going to go ahead and just go through these levels one by one. So this is the usual, the bump out event action, so that just takes the event action from the incoming event and changes it to event action. In this case it'll be restart device. So not much interesting there. Pretty cookie cutter. This is same thing, adds an event tracker, cookie cutter. Now this is where it gets still pretty much the same. So we create an active watcher event. The idea is this guy will have one of two events. It'll either clear, in which case we send an email that says that this device was restarted, or we are going to fire off a incident report to the appropriate group. Now I've got, I think, I think I've got two items with this guy that's relevant. So first we create the event, and like all the other ones, it is a momentary 3600. So the event will go away. This was kind of a point of contention last time on 6391. So I understand how that works now. So that was my mistake. And it sends off the event to go back to the active watcher flow. So moving on. Here's where I started to get a little bit creative. So in the past, it seems what we would have done is we made a restart device for Windows and a restart device for Linux. What I did instead was I used the element name to get properties off of the device in question. And then I used this groovy strip to go ahead and strip out the OS vendor. So it's either going to be Linux or Microsoft. So, and I've tested this flow, it works all the way to this point. So if it's Linux, it will come here, and if it's Microsoft, it'll go down here. This is the WinRM, and if we look at this guy is very cookie cutter because we already had a whole bunch of WinRM send stuff. So I've pretty much cut and paste this from the other flows that make use of this sort of thing. And then we just send off a WinRM restart where I grab the credentials from the previous level as it worked before. Just call a restart computer, and you'll notice I kept this pretty generic. It's not specific to the WinRM, it's specific to the restart device, and there was a reason I did that. And this is one of the things I'd like you guys to tell me if this is a good way to do it, because I was trying to minimize and reuse as much as is humanly possible. So that's how the WinRM goes. I'm going to go ahead and skip over here to the SSH. Now I filled out an item to Jake for in the future on the SSH we will a suggestion that we'll use key pairing in a string. Now Jake already told me that they might be going like an authentication route through Oasis, but currently pretty much all we've got is the password and the username. So I'm going to embed this guy in the UD10 with the username and the password for the SSH command. So all I do here is I put it into its own little branch for the sake of just simplicity. And then in the next, let's see, cancel. And in the next guy, we do our SSH restart command. And so I'm getting the element, I'm using the element name as the host. I'm getting the username here and the user pass right here, calling shutdown return all. Now notice this is using the same variables as the WinRM. So my hope is, and this seems to work, sort of. My one gripe is the SSH. Every time I run it, it doesn't set the failed or the success. It just seems to pass over it almost, and it didn't give me an error for anything. So that's something I'm probably going to ask about tomorrow. So for the failed, in case the SSH has that as a property, in place of using a simple filter, I went ahead and used a Groovy script. So if the device failed is not null, that means that's kind of the more simple filter. That means yes, we have excuse me, a populated start restart device failed, so this level is going to be activated. Now in the case that nothing is set, I went ahead and just set it to something arbitrary for right now. I was kind of hoping to get some input from you guys. In which case, in either of these cases, then this level is the one we want. Otherwise, it's not, and it'll skip it. And the actual actions on these guys are pretty much the same as every other one. The only difference was I put the element name, so you get computer name, device restart log, and the name and the log message. So, and the other one's pretty much the same. So restart device, and if nothing happens, like if the SSH is the one I had the most trouble with, because it looks like what it's getting is whether or not the command ran. I'm not sure. I was expecting it to come back with an error like no authentication or anything. So that's why I'm doing this fun stuff up here where we got no failure code. So at least something will be logged in cases like that. Anyway, so tomorrow what I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a UD10, and it's going to be a little bit large. I actually wrote Tim a text message saying if there's like a best practices for putting this together, because this JSON's actually going to get fairly good sized. But anyway, guys, I hope this is the only new thing I've added. Everything else with the Active Watcher and the restart WinRM and the restart SNMP are going to be the same. The only difference is the Active Watcher will fire this guy off in the case that the original event is still active after the restart's been attempted. So guys, I would appreciate any thoughts on the matter. I will talk to you tomorrow morning. Good night.